The WWF, what the world is watching. Turn it on and rip the knob off.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Wrestling Memory Grenade, episode 184. This week we jump into the month of March 1989 in the World Wrestling Federation. Look at all the news and results here. Wow, just 1 month away from WrestleMania 5. Can you believe it? I'm here to bring you guys all of the news and all the latest events going on heading into the big event. I am indeed Ray Russell, guys. And this week, it's going to get fun. We're going to see, well, we got some news to get into, some interesting news. Sometimes it can be a little dormant on the news side, moving into WrestleMania, because things have kind of been set for the next few weeks. But in this case, we've got a few doozies to report, some fun things, guys coming back, some returns perhaps, and some debuts, and even, yes, unfortunately, a little spring cleaning ahead. As we jump into the news this week, it is time for March news for 1989 in the WWF, kicking it all off with a story about Leaping Lanny Poffo. It appears that Laniel has been repackaged, or so it seems, recently. We're actually going to cover that here on this episode. Doing some poems in the Boston Garden, Madison Square Garden, confusing the fans as he seems to be siding with the Macho Man Randy Savage and kind of, well, dissing Hulk Hogan. Unfortunately, it appears that Lanny Poffo may be doing a new heel shtick here very soon post WrestleMania 5. Stay tuned for that. I can't wait. Also, it is reported that the Superfly, Jimmy Snuka, making his return after a 4-year absence. Jimmy Snuka going to be at some TV tapings here. In the month of March, we're going to see the Superfly back on TV before too long. And John Tenta, the future Earthquake, appears at some upcoming TV tapings as well. He's going to be taking place March 7th in El Paso, March 8th in Odessa, Texas. Tenta working as a babyface the first night, believe it or not, when he went to a time limit draw with Mr. Perfect. Wow, Mr. Perfect versus a babyface Earthquake. Very interesting. And on the second night, Tenta got to work a squash as a heel. There's actually a picture out there, kind of cool, of Tenta versus Kurt Hennig. I believe just before the two lock up, there's a picture of them circling the ring, and somebody shot from the crowd. Very cool. Just kind of a little bit of proof. I wish that would be one of those dark match releases, WWE Vault. Get on that, guys. So Jimmy Snuka making his return. John Tenta may be debuting for the company very soon, and Leaping Lanny Poffo seems to be undergoing a gimmick change of sorts, but it doesn't end there, as after more than 5 years of working with Jim Crockett Promotions, Tony Schiavone has arrived on commentary. He will also be working as a producer with Coliseum Video. So looking forward to seeing what Tony puts together over there on the Coliseum Videocast side of things at the VIP tier of patreon.com/WrestleCopia. Me and Gene Jackson looking forward to getting into the 1989 Coliseum videos very soon. Currently in the 1988 world, so we're getting close. Early spring cleaning. I mentioned that at the top of the program as well. Finishing up here in the company during the month of March. Say it ain't so. We're going to say goodbye to the Cowboys. Scott Casey, Sam Houston, Nikolai Volkov of the Bolsheviks, plus the Conquistadors will be bidding adieu, or is it au revoir or adios? It's Jose Estrada and Jose Luis Rivera going to be getting the boot here. Dangerous Danny Davis will no longer be in the ring as a wrestler. He's going to be returning full-time as an active referee. We're going to tell that story post-WrestleMania as well. We touched on it before. The outlaw Ron Bass will be no more after mid-March. And manager Frenchie Martin is going to be finishing up April 2 as part of WrestleMania. Manager of Dino Bravo, Frenchie, also going to be gone from the company. And based on recent house shows, it looks like they're going to do those Sam Houston versus Danny Davis matches that have been going on seemingly forever, for nearly a year and a half. They're going to do those matches all the way to the end as both guys finish up here in the month of March. Now, Sam will actually, we're going to see him return for a couple of brief runs here in the summer and into the fall to replace the departing Blue Blazer, spoiler alert, and again, like I said, the fall to replace a temporarily fired Birdman Koko B. Ware after the Jim Troy incident. More on that later here in 1989. Now, Meltzer reported there was talk on the decision of Ron Bass's release being reviewed, and he may get involved in an angle and kept on TV. Remember the last time we saw the Outlaw as part of syndicated TV, he kind of alluded to continuing his feud with Brutus. That's apparently not happening, which is fine with me. Also, you can add the names Grizzly Smith, Pedro Morales, and Nick Bockwinkel to the list of talent released from the company. They are indeed, at the moment, road agents, now called producers in the WWE. After WrestleMania, their spots will be replaced on the agent side of things by one George the Animal Steel, Jim Myers, and Dave Hebner of the infamous Hebner Angle, twin angle from about a year ago. So Dave Hebner going off the road as a referee, going to turn into an agent. So any Hebner we see on TV post-WrestleMania season will indefinitely be one Baby Earl. George Steele also going on the road as an agent now. Grizzly Smith couldn't happen to a nicer guy getting the boot, but unfortunately, somehow Grizz going to turn up in WCW before too long, and I don't know how that guy kept the job for as long as he did based on the character, or lack thereof, that he had in real life. Pedro Morales, from all accounts, didn't really add a whole lot. Maybe just kind of a favor from Vince to keep Pedro around. He did some of the commentary on the Spanish side of things, I know, but Morales is going to be gone. And Nick Bockwinkel, that's an interesting name. I mean, talk about high quality, high level talent. Bockwinkel as an agent, though, I don't know if that shakes out. I don't know if Bockwinkel's style meshes with the vision of one Vincent Kennedy McMahon, pal. But we know George Steele's been around the New York area forever. He gets it. And Dave Hebner, no shocker there. We're going to see both of those guys in the future there working as agents. The Prism Network up in Philadelphia will no longer be carrying the Spectrum cards on its television programming. The WWF blaming the Prism telecast for its poor crowds recently in the city of Philadelphia. Of course, this doesn't take into account that Prism telecasted WWF cards going all the way back into the 1970s. And Philly was drawing some of the biggest crowds in all of the WWF at that time, but I guess you got to blame somebody, Vince. WrestleMania 5 at Trump Plaza set to break the all-time live gate record with an estimated $1.8 million setup and 20,000 seat capacity. Ticket sales have already passed 1 million, more than halfway there already, with an expected sellout. And while it likely won't match WrestleMania 3's buy rate, says DeMeltz, due to pay-per-view saturation, the overall gross should surpass all previous wrestling events thanks to pay-per-view homes and, of course, higher prices. I do know that we're going to see a hell of a buy rate here for WrestleMania 5, so it's just going to blow everything out of the water in regards to the pay-per-view world. We talked about this just a moment ago, talking about the spring cleaning, though. As mentioned, with Ron Bass now gone, the previously rumored WrestleMania match between Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Outlaw now being quote-unquote changed to Jim Duggan versus Bad News Brown. And I put the quotes there because I don't know that Bass and Duggan was ever officially on the paper for the event. That was something reported in the Observer, but we will find out it is indeed Duggan and Bad News Brown going in. Battle of the Brawlers. Not going to be pretty when they get in the ring, but it looks cool on paper anyway. Well, we've already told a few stories here, but the big story this week, listen to this one. Roddy Piper's planned appearance in a combined Piper's Pit and Brother Love Show segment at WrestleMania 5 will feature talk show host Morton Downey Jr. The Hot Rod is returning, guys. Negotiations with Roddy have been intense. The NWA reportedly offering Piper $500,000, $500,000 for a one-year deal, which Piper allegedly, initially, agreed to, verbally, allegedly. However, Piper's agent, Dave Wolf, who is close with the McMahon family, convinced Piper to instead take the WrestleMania spot. Officially, Hot Rod only booked for the one non-wrestling appearance at WrestleMania, but the NWA head, Jim Herd, even flew to New York to try finalizing a deal on paper to get Piper down there in Turnerland for the NWA WCW. Even still, if Piper's appearing at WrestleMania, Meltzer says it's almost certain he won't be wrestling for the NWA. Well, I mean, the writing's on the wall here. Although Ted Turner does have the guaranteed contracts and the big bucks, I could see Piper going either way, but heading into WrestleMania, I don't know. I guess the hot rod may be coming home to New York. In other news, Martin Gallagher, the wrestling fan in Watertown, New York, who was attacked by David Sammartino. That was David's exit from the company. It took place just after WrestleMania 4, right after Bruno quit, magically. David fired, of course, for this altercation with the fan. Anywho, the fan received $3,000 as a settlement, close to $10,000 today. I'll take it. Half from David's insurance company and the other half from the World Wrestling Federation. Nothing from Papa Bruno there. Interesting. Hulk Hogan's long-awaited movie. Well, I put some air quotes around that too. Long-awaited movie titled No Holds Barred, set for release this summer. Boy, I can't wait. And get this, early reviews are brutal. New Line Cinema, the same company that brought you A Nightmare on Elm Street, will handle a 900-theater release of No Holds Barred. Wow, you go from Freddy Krueger to Zeus. Interesting, pal. Meanwhile, in other movie news, Thunderground, which stars Jesse the Body Ventura as a character known only as The Man, was screened at the same time as No Holds Barred and will be released in September in the U.S. I had to look that up. I didn't even remember this movie, Thunderground. Going to have to go try to find that somewhere and check out and see how Jesse compared in Thunderground to the Hulkster in No Holds Barred. Well, as we come down to the nitty-gritty here in the news department, DeMelt says it was reported in a Toronto wrestling column, which is wrong as often, if not more, than it is right with rumors of this type. But it stated that WrestleMania 6 will be in the brand new 77,000-seat indoor stadium in Toronto next year. You guys will know it better as the Sky Dome. And although the official decision probably won't be made until December here in '89, it looks like the Toronto column got something right, Dave. WrestleMania 6 is headed to Toronto. And finally, here in March of 1989, this is a big one. It goes under the radar a lot. The Macho Man, Randy Savage, reigning WWF champion. Randy Savage will suffer a severe staph infection in his right elbow after a bursa sac becomes broken and infected. He's going to be walking into WrestleMania season with his health in doubt. So some big news here. The champion, the main event, one half of the Mega Powers explosion, Randy Savage injured big time heading into WrestleMania. Will he make it? No Holds Barred is on the horizon. Roddy Piper making his return. We've seen some tryouts. John Tenta headed in. Some agent changes. Spring cleaning here. Some saying time to say goodbye to some of the undercard talent. The genius, Lanny Poffo. Sorry about the spoiler there, guys. Poffo undergoing a gimmick change. Danny Davis returning to a referee here very soon. The Superfly headed back. Lots going on in the world of the WWF. And we're going to look at what happens on the road here, looking at March results after we return from this WrestleCopia timeout.
Hey, it's Bob Smith, and guess what? The Outdated Wrestling Hour is now part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. But hey, no fear, you're still going to hear the unique guests, comedy, music, authors, journalists, funny people. Who knows who's going to end up on the Outdated Wrestling Hour? Remember, it's all new and all old. So check it out in the WrestleCopia Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcasts. Listen if you know what's good for you.
Relive the glory days of Memphis wrestling with the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. Each week, we go back in time to review USWA Championship Wrestling from the 1990s, episode by episode. Join us for watch-alongs, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive interviews with people who were there and lived it. Whether you grew up watching it or you're discovering it for the first time, this podcast is your ringside seat to Memphis wrestling history. It's all a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Listen now at uswapodcast.com.
Hey guys, Ray Russell back to talk to you about all the new and exciting audio and video podcasts we've been putting together over at patreon.com/WrestleCopia. As a self-funded brand, this entire ship is powered by our patrons. It's your support that keeps all of these wonderful shows going here at WrestleCopia. And with that said, I wanted to mention that we now have 3 major tiers with tons of Patreon exclusive next level content for our Patreon supporters. And it all starts with the $5 All Access tier, which gets you early access to many of the weekly podcasts, at least a dozen monthly digital downloads for your viewing and reading pleasure, the insanely detailed show notes for the Wrestling Memory Grenade Regional Wrestling, and the OG Monday Warfare podcast, plus random bonus video drops, archived old school audio watch-alongs from the early years of the brand. And if that's not all, the brand new Patreon exclusive podcast, Ranting Raw, featuring yours truly, Ray Russell, completely uncensored, unfiltered, with honest takes, taking patron questions and addressing various topics from throughout wrestling history. It is a whole lot of fun wrapped under the All Access tier for only $5, but things get even hotter with the VIP Superfan tier. For just a few dollars more, you get everything already mentioned in the All Access tier, plus as part of the VIP tier, a whole new slew of videocast series where it's not just your typical watch-alongs. Sure, we laugh, we have fun, but we're also breaking down the history, the context, and the why behind what you're seeing. And as part of the VIP tier, you have access to Dan Gennety's Puro Resu Academy videocast, the Coliseum videocast with co-host Gene Jackson, and the Monday Warfare videocast, Raw vs. Nitro, breaking down the history of the Monday Night War. Plus, you also get the Memphis 1985 folder of goodies and all show notes for the Puro Academy podcast and Gene's retro review show. Lots to be had there at the VIP tier. But wait, there's more. For those WrestleCopia backers who crave even more from the brand, we bring you yet another level of content fit for a warrior, because it is indeed the ultimate tier, which gives you everything from the All Access Pass, everything from the VIP tier, plus you will receive access to the big ones, video series featuring a lengthy look and discussion into some of the biggest pay-per-views, super shows, and other events from throughout wrestling history. It's also a great place to keep up with the big events that coincide with the Monday Warfare videocast and so many other big events from years gone by. You'll also have access to the newest big hit to the Copia brand. I'm talking about Regional Wrestling Unreal, the video series. Get ready for the next level in regional wrestling as we dissect territory history in video form. Watch along with us. But still, even more for your money, guys. You'll also receive access to the Treasure Chest, which offers patrons the unique opportunity to download and watch select rarities from wrestling history. And for those of you who are wondering what we offer, are contemplating joining a paid Patreon membership, or simply a curious lurker, a reminder there's a free tier at our Patreon that you can join as well. Remember, guys, no subscription, cancel any time, but I think you'll like the content that we're offering there for any budget you may have. And you can sign up right now, patreon.com/WrestleCopia, or look for the QR code where available. We appreciate your support in helping us pay the bills to keep the WrestleCopia Podcast Network running and enabling us to continue to bring you all the quality programming that we offer.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktree/WrestlePod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Grenade, episode 184. Time to jump into March results for 1989 in the WWF. But first, don't forget, stop on over to the historyofwwe.com. Great site created by Graham Koth and kept up by Richard Land. Click on that 1989 WWF result link. Scroll along with me as we look at some results. Of course, now mine are a little different than you guys might see on their website, but that is the best place to go online if you guys kind of want to go along with me and look at some of the results for March 89 here as we head into WrestleMania 5. Everything that takes place before WrestleMania, big key matches. Some guys may be preparing trying out, if you will, some other matches prior to the big pay-per-view. And it all kicks off. We got some results here March 3rd, 4th, and 5th taking place in Kansas City Municipal Auditorium, Tampa, Florida at the Sundome, and Fort Myers, Florida, Lee Civic Center. Same card every night. Going to see the Blue Blazer defeat Dangerous Danny Davis. Rick Martel in solo action over the Outlaw Ron Bass. Greg the Hammer Valentine downing Jim the Anvil Neidhart. It's Hacksaw Jim Duggan over Dino Bravo in a flag match. WWF Tag Team Champions Demolition scoring victories over the Powers of Pain. White Lightning, Tim Horner, downing Leaping Lanny Poffo. Okay, Lanny Poffo already working, perhaps on the heel side of things here, doing jobs to Tim Horner. Brutus the Barber Beefcake over the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, heading into WrestleMania. And in the main event, it is Hulk Hogan defeating the Big Boss Man each and every night inside a steel cage in the Florida towns of Tampa and Fort Myers. Hulk Hogan going over the Boss Man, his feud on the house shows leading into WrestleMania. Also, March 3rd and 4th, Baltimore, Maryland, Baltimore Arena, 6,500 fans following night on the 4th. Providence, Rhode Island at the Civic Center matinee show, 6,700 fans there. Going to see King Haku over Tito Santana. Coco Beware, Birdman over Nikolai Volkov. First night by DQ. Second night, Coco scoring the pin there on old Big Nick. Red Rooster scoring victories over the Brooklyn Brawler. It's the Bushwhackers over the Fabulous Rougeaus. Ugh, rough going, Shock and Raymond there. Bret Hart battling the Honky Tonk Man to a double countout. Hercules taking Mr. Perfect to a time limit draw. Hennig will retain that perfect streak. And in the main event both nights, tag team action. Here's an odd duo. Jake the Snake Roberts teaming with the Ultimate Warrior over Heenan family members Andre the Giant and Ravishing Rick Rude. The Warrior scoring pinfalls over the Ravishing one there in Baltimore and Providence. As we move on up north, heading to Canada, Sherbrooke, Quebec at the Palais des Sports on March the 3rd in front of 3,700 fans. Following day, March 4th, Hull, Quebec, Robert Guertin Arena, Sam Houston over Jose Estrada, Ronnie Garvin downing Boris Zukov. They've already split up the Bolsheviks, Nikolai on his way out. Women's champion, Rockin' Robin, victories over Sensational Sherry, Jimmy Powers defeating Conquistador number 1, Jose Luis Rivera there. Akeem taking a countout loss to one Big John Studd. It's the Rockers going over the Brainbusters. And the WWF champion Randy Savage putting away Bad News Brown in a pair of Harlem Street Fights. Beer-bellied sharecropping spineless cockroaches. All right, we move on. March the 5th, a pair of shows here. Matinee show and evening show. Hamilton, Ontario and London, Ontario. Hamilton drawing 10,000 fans. Wow, let's see the headliner here. Again, it's Sam Houston over Jose Estrada. Jimmy Powers defeating Conquistador number 1. That's Luis Rivera. Ronnie Garvin, once again, putting away Boris Zukov. King Haku over Tito Santana. Honky Tonk Man, this time scoring a victory over the Hitman Bret Hart. Big John Studd battling Akeem to a double countout. Bushwhackers over the Fabulous Rougeaus. And again, it's Randy Savage successfully defending that title over Bad News Brown, but this time in a steel cage match. Savage and Bad News, these Harlem Street Fights, a thing of beauty, and I can only imagine how violent those cage matches would have been between the Macho Man and Bad News there in Canada. As we continue on back to the States, Springfield, Massachusetts, March the 5th, 7,000 fans at the Civic Center. Coco Beware over Nikolai Volkov. Red Rooster again putting down the Brooklyn Brawler. Hercules taking Mr. Perfect to another time limit draw. Rockin' Robin putting away Sensational Sherry. It's the Rockers over the Brainbusters by DQ. Paul Roma in singles action defeating Iron Mike Sharp. In the main event, again, it's Jake Roberts and the Warrior over Andre and Rick Rude. March the 6th, Colorado Springs, Colorado at the Broadmoor World Arena. Red Rooster again over the Brooklyn Brawler. Ravishing Rick Rude pinning Coco Beware. It's Paul Roma downing Iron Mike Sharp. Bret Hart and Honky Tonk to a double countout. Big John Studd and Akeem to a double countout. Hercules and Kurt Hennig to a time limit draw. I guess we can't have any winners here tonight. And the main event, going to see the Rockers go over the Brainbusters. At least we get a pinfall. Michaels scoring a win over Arn Anderson. So Rick Rude getting put into the prelims here over Coco. And Andre and Warrior no longer part of that tag team main event. So we get the Rockers and the Busters here in Colorado Springs. As we continue on, March the 6th, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Tingley Coliseum. 3,600 fans only out here. We're going to see what goes on. Blue Blazer over Dangerous Danny Davis. Tito Santana battling Haku to a draw. Rockin' Robin over Sherry. Randy Savage defeating Bad News Brown in a Harlem Street Fight. Bushwhackers over the Rougeos, Rick Martel pinning Outlaw Ron Bass, and Andre the Giant scoring a victory over Jake the Snake Roberts by DQ. Wondering if Damien got involved there. As we move on to Amarillo and the Civic Center down there in Texas, March the 6th. On the card, the Ultimate Warrior headlining against the Big Boss Man. I don't have results, but I had to bring that up. That's a hell of a matchup. I always wanted to see, probably not the prettiest match on earth, but two of my absolute favorites from this era going at it here. Very few times did these two go one-on-one. This is one of them here in Amarillo, the Ultimate Warrior and the Big Boss Man headlining with the Demolition Powers of Pain underneath there in Texas. Speaking of Texas, we move on March the 7th, El Paso Convention Center, and a Superstars taping featuring the return of one Superfly, Jimmy Snuka, in a dark match here, scoring a win over Boris Zukov. The Superfly is back in the WWF. Mr. Perfect here battling John Tenta to that time limit draw. Now, match is scheduled to air in future episodes of Prime Time. Prime Time March the 20th, we're going to see the Honky Tonk Man and Greg Valentine pick up a victory over Tim Horner and Jim Evans. Primetime March the 27th, Brooklyn Brawler over Paul Roma. They're going to take a crossbody from Roma, roll over, turn on top. The Brawler scoring a pinfall victory over Pretty Paul. Also going to air after WrestleMania, post-Mania. April the 10th, we'll see the tag team of the Hart Foundation pick up a squash win on Primetime over the Intruder and the Black Knight, a pair of masked fellows. Then we go back to some dark matches here on the Superstars taping. The Rockers and the Brainbusters battling to a 20-minute time limit draw. Sign me up. Andre the Giant over Jake by DQ. Hulk Hogan pinning the Big Boss Man. And in the main event, WWF Champion the Macho Man over the Ultimate Warrior by a countout. Rick Rude coming ringside, distracting the Warrior. Brawl on the floor. The Warrior Man counted out, but he's going to clear the ring of both Rude and Randy Savage at the end of the night to send the fans home happy there in El Paso. As we move on to the following day, Wrestling Challenge tapings, March the 8th, Odessa, Texas, at the County Coliseum. And in the dark matches, once again, John Tenta getting that other dark match I referenced, this time as a heel, scoring a victory over Sam Houston. I do believe this match might be out there. I know there's some John Tenta dark matches out there, tryouts, if you will. Superfly, Jimmy Snuka back again the following night over the Brooklyn Brawler with the old Superfly Splash. Getting it done, and the Brawler already doing jobs here. Primetime Wrestling scheduled to air March the 20th. The Hitman battling Ted DiBiase to a double countout. Looking forward to that one. Jake Roberts scoring a DDT win over Boris Zukov as well on the March 20th Primetime. Then for the 27th of March on Primetime Wrestling, the Bushwhackers over Jose Estrada and Danny Davis, and the Rockers defeating the Brainbusters by disqualification. 11 minutes of action there in a Primetime Wrestling match. Boy, we got some great prime times coming up here later in the month of March. And for the April 17th edition of Primetime Wrestling, this doesn't bode well for the Powers of Pain coming out tag team champions, as we're going to see after WrestleMania, the Warlord wrestling solo action here. Mr. Fuji still by his side. The Warlord getting a victory over Ricky Ataki. And then some dark matches here on the challenge taping. Andre and Jake, Savage and the Warrior, Hogan and the Boss Man, lather, rinse, repeat. Same as Superstars in regards to your winners there. As we continue on, March the 9th, Memphis, Tennessee, and the Mid-South Coliseum, and not just invading Jerry Lawler country, but invading the Mid-South Coliseum in front of 6,000 fans. Not bad, WWF. Paul Roma over Barry Horowitz, Rick Martel taking King Haku to a draw, Brutus the Barber Beefcake over the $1 Million Man, Hercules putting away Dino Bravo by DQ, it's Brainbusters over the Rockers, Bret Hart battling the Honky Tonk Man to a double countout. Coco Beware scoring a victory over the Gladiator. And Hulk Hogan coming to town. Well, that drew the card. The Hulkster over the Big Boss Man in Memphis. Now we head out west to the West Coast, Sacramento, California, the Arco Arena, March the 9th, 5,000 fans. On the card, the Rooster over the Brawler, the Bushwhackers defeating the Rougeos. It's Rick Rude over Tito Santana. Big John Studd again taking Akeem to a double countout. Hacksaw Jim Duggan reportedly on the card. I don't have results for his matchup, but I do know that in the main event, it was Randy Savage, once again, a heel Macho Man. These had to be interesting matches, as heel Macho pins Bad News Brown in a street fight. So we're about a third of the way through the month, and you already see the trend here. Savage finishing up his stories with Bad News Brown, as he's already a heel now. So it's kind of a fun dynamic. The fans are cheering for Bad News in some of these cities. Hulkster and Big Boss Man, you can't go wrong with that. Akeem and John Studd, no thank you. I mean, Jake and Andre have had months to get it right. We'll see how it comes out at WrestleMania. So lots to look into and to look forward to here in the big pay-per-view. Again, just a month away. As we move on, also the 9th and the 10th of March, Louisville, Kentucky, Louisville Gardens continuing to invade the Jarrett Lawler area, including their venues. Louisville Gardens, only 3,600 fans, just can't crack it in Louisville yet. Mr. Perfect scoring victories over Sam Houston and Coco Beware. Blue Blazer defeating Outlaw Ron Bass. It's Greg Valentine over the Anvil. Ronnie Garvin putting down Boris Zukov. Rockin' Robin over the sensational Sherry. Demolition defeating the Powers of Pain by DQ. And Andre the Giant pinning Jake the Snake Roberts. So Memphis, they get Hogan and Boss Man. Louisville, they get Andre and Jake. Sounds about right. Just like the Memphis territory. As we continue on, Montreal, Quebec at the Forum, March the 10th. I don't have the numbers, but they usually draw well. This card, I don't know so much. Maybe that's why the numbers got lost. Paul Roma over Barry Horowitz. Bret Hart defeating Honky Tonk by DQ. Rick Martel over King Haku, a couple of Montreal guys there. Brutus Beefcake putting away the $1 Million Man. I can't believe Dibiase's doing all these jobs to Brutus. Big Boss Man downing Hercules. There's an interesting match. And the Brainbusters over the Rockers. Here we go. Maybe the numbers aren't so bad. Listen to the main event. They refused to do this about a year ago, but here it is. Hulk Hogan, 1989 Hulk Hogan, scoring a victory over Dino Bravo, who was the beloved he was the Hulk Hogan of the Montreal territory once upon a time. And at one point in maybe it was, late 86, maybe into 87, they were going to do Dino and Hogan there in Montreal, and they pulled the plug. They went gun shy there because, they were afraid the Hulkster may get booed, but not necessarily the issue here in 1989, especially after a couple of years of watching Dino Bravo deteriorate in the ring. As we continue on, we move on March the 10th, Cow Palace, San Francisco, California, the famed Cow Palace, in front of 14,700 fans, reportedly 13,700 paid. So it was indeed a quote-unquote sellout. 1,000 paper tickets to a house show. Man, why didn't I ever get any of this? We continue on with the action, though, here in the Cow Palace. Tim Horner over Jose Luis Rivera, the Red Rooster, pinning the Brooklyn Brawler. The Bushwhackers, once again, over the Fabulous Rougeaus. Poor Rougeaus. Bad News Brown putting down Tito Santana. It's Hacksaw Jim Duggan over Ravishing Rick Rude. Interesting. Here is another little interesting tidbit. In a matchup slated to see Big John Studd battle the African Dream Akeem, Studd indeed finally gets a pin here. It's been a lot of count-out city so far between these two, but Studd scoring a victory on a body slam on the big 500-pound Akeem. But listen to this one. Due to the poorness of their matches up until this point, John Studd was told before the match that if he was unable to slam Akeem and make it look believable, he would be let go from the company. Wow, how the mighty have fallen. How quickly down the totem pole is John Studd. He has lost faith. The WWF has lost faith clearly in John Studd. Just a month and a half ago, the winner of the 89 Royal Rumble. Now he's being told your matches are so bad. If you can't at least make a body slam look believable, we can't use you, pal. But apparently it was good enough to keep him around. John Studd scoring the victory there. I'm sure George Gray, a.k.a. Akeem, had a lot to do with that, but Studd going over by pinfall in the Cow Palace. As we continue on, March the 11th, Nashville, Tennessee. Again, just wanted to point out, headlined by the Ultimate Warrior battling the Big Boss Man in Nashville. So another one of the matches. I don't have results for it, but curious to see one of these things. Hopefully they pop up at some point. Rockers also against the Brainbusters on that card there in Nashville. So a fun little night if you're a Warrior or Boss Man fan. We go on. Market Square Arena, Indianapolis, Indiana, March the 11th. It's Roma over Barry Horowitz. King Haku defeating the mighty Hercules. The Hitman, Bret Hart, finally scoring a pinfall over the Honky Tonk Man. It's the Bushwhackers over the Fabulous Rougeaus. Duggan defeating Dino Bravo in a flag match. Brutus Beefcake over Ravishing Rick Rude. In the main event, another Harlem Street Fight. Going to see Randy Savage score the win on Bad News Brown as we roll into Wexford Civic Center at in Cadillac, Michigan. Okay. March the 11th, and Flint, Michigan at the IMA Sports Arena, March the 12th. Going to see the Birdman, Coco Beware, babyface action, picking up a victory over Tim Horner. Coco subbing in for Boris Zukov. It's the Blue Blazer over Outlaw Ron Bass. Greg the Hammer Valentine putting down the Anvil once again. Rockin' Robin over Sherry. Tag champs, the Demos, over the Powers of Pain by DQ, and Andre the Giant pinning Jake the Snake Roberts in a lumberjack match. Alrighty. March the 12th, matinee and evening shows in Madison, Wisconsin, and Oshkosh, Wisconsin at the Dane County Coliseum and the Culf Sports Arena. Again, Roma over Horowitz. Rick Rude defeating Rick Martel. That might be another sleeper match. I'd like to see that one. Rude and Martel. Big John Studd again scoring a pinfall over Akeem. It's Randy Savage defeating the Ultimate Warrior, champion versus champion. The Macho Man scoring the victory on a countout. Bret Hart over the Honky Tonk Man by DQ. King Haku defeating the Mighty Hercules in Madison, and it's Hercules over Haku in Oshkosh. And then again, they trade off wins. Bushwhackers over Rougeos in Madison. Rougeos finally defeating the Bushwhackers reportedly in Oshkosh. And down south, going back down to the Summit in Houston, March the 12th. I don't have results, but it's headlined by the Big Boss Man battling Hulk Hogan inside a steel cage in Houston, bringing the big guns to the big city. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Hulkster scoring the win there over the Big Boss Man in the Summit. As we continue rolling on a couple days later, March the 16th, Wheeling, West Virginia at the Civic Center, 4,500 fans out to see Tim Horner over Iron Mike Sharp. Rick Martel taking Haku to a 20-minute time limit draw. The Red Rooster over the Brooklyn Brawler. Tag champs Demolition defeating Powers of Pain by pinfall. Axe pinning the Barbarian after breaking Fuji's cane over Barb's back. Also on the card, Brutus Beefcake pinning Ravishing Rick Rude with a schoolboy, giving Brutai a lot of wins here lately over Dibiase and Rick Rude. It's almost like they have plans for Brother Brutai post-WrestleMania. Also, don't see this name very often, Hillbilly Jim brought into Wheeling. Well, it is West Virginia after all. By golly, Hillbilly Jim scoring a win over Boris Zukov with a big boot. And Randy Savage, again, defeating the Ultimate Warrior on a countout in Wheeling. Daytona Beach, March the 16th, Ocean Center. Headlined again by Hulk Hogan taking on the Big Boss Man. No results, but rockers and brainbusters underneath, so it's a win-win for me. And then we go on March 16th, 17th, and 18th, back to Canada, back to the West Coast, talking Victoria, British Columbia Memorial Arena, Calgary, Alberta at the Saddle Dome, and Spokane, Washington at the Coliseum. Got to see Horowitz over Scott Casey. The Blue Blazer put away Ron Bass. Nikolai Volkov in to score a victory over Sam Houston. Ted DiBiase over Tito Santana. The Hitman, Bret Hart, and the Honky Tonk Man to a double countout. Bret also scoring at least one win on that little loop by DQ. It's Big John Studd pinning Akeem, and Andre the Giant over Jake the Snake Roberts. Jake can't catch a break, even on the house shows, boss. WWF in Denver, Colorado, McNichols Arena, March the 19th. 4,000 fans here in Denver. I don't have results for the matches, but it did include a Brother Love Show segment featuring the return of one Rowdy Roddy Piper, in which Piper ended up slapping and hip-tossing Brother Love across the ring. So a lot of people think Hot Rod's return from WrestleMania 3 was at WrestleMania 5, but I guess they're kind of testing the waters here, his chemistry with one Bruce Pritchard. So that had to be a fun little segment. That's another little hidden gem. I hope they recorded out there with Roddy Piper returning. Speaking of, I wish they recorded, I'm going off to the Richfield Coliseum right here near me, just a half an hour up the road, the old Richfield Coliseum. I miss it so. March the 17th, bringing out 10,000 fans heading into WrestleMania, and it's all for the headliner. We're going to look at the card now. Tim Horner over Mike Sharp, the Red Rooster pinning the Brooklyn Brawler. Hercules battling Bad News Brown to a double countout. 6-man tag team action. Going to see the Bushwhackers team with Hacksaw Jim Duggan. They deserve each other. Defeating the trio of Dino Bravo and the Fabulous Rougeos. It's King Haku pinning Rick Martel. Interesting. Hillbilly Jim, even in Richfield, scoring a victory over Boris Zukov. And in the main event, Hulk Hogan coming to the Richfield Coliseum, scoring a steel cage victory over the Big Boss Man. Took longer to set up the cage than it took for Hogan to win it, but they do give us 9 minutes of action. Fun time there. Crowd loved it. Hulk Hogan over the Boss Man inside the cage in Richfield. As we move on, also on the 17th of March, Chicago, Illinois, Rosemont Horizon, 9,100 fans to see Mr. Perfect defeat rugged Ronnie Garvin, Brutus Beefcake over Rick Rude, the Rockers downing the Brainbusters, Rock and Robin scoring a victory over Judy Martin. It's the Macho Man Randy Savage putting away the Ultimate Warrior again by count out. The Rick Rude interference plays out every time. Greg Valentine putting down Jim Neidhart, and in the main event, the closing of the night, the tag champs Demolition over the Powers of Pain by DQ. in the Rosemont Horizon. We continue on. We've got a pair of big events going down on March the 18th. Matinee show, New York City, New York, Madison Square Garden, 20,000 sellout. Then later that evening, the Boston Garden, also March the 18th, 15,200 sellout. And again, it's all because you have to believe of the main event. But wow, what a day in the WWF, selling out both gardens, MSG and Boston. They had to feel pretty good about themselves moving into WrestleMania. Televised on the MSG network and, of course, the NESN network in Boston. Included Tony Schiavone and Lord Alfred Hayes on commentary, the brand new team of Tony and Lord Alfred. They would do some spotlights together. I think they might even do a little All-American together, but Tony has credited Lord Alfred as making him feel welcome to the company and taking care of him early on. And very cool to see Tony and Alfred out here on commentary, as this is where we get those Lanny Poffo poems about WrestleMania 5, the main event, the Mega Powers exploding. Poffo, this is very interesting. I don't remember the MSG one very well. It's the identical poem in both cities, and it's very interesting because at first he's out there, he's leaping Lanny Poffo, he's brought a Frisbee with him ringside, and he's reciting this poem, and somewhere as he gets going, the crowd goes silent because they're expecting the usual jovial Lanny Poffo putting over Hulk Hogan, and he buries the Hulkster and puts over Randy Savage as being number one. And at some point in the poem, the crowd catches on that this guy's a heel now, and they boo the living shit out of a purple trunk wearing Lanny Poffo, who does not wrestle on the card. He's not the Genius yet, but boy, the heel heat in both Boston and New York, but especially Boston, is unreal for the newly turned heel leaping Lanny. So very cool. Go check that out. I posted his poem there from Boston on my social media, both Twitter and Facebook. You guys can go check that out right now. On the card there in Boston and New York, same results, same outcomes. Young Stallions over the Conquistadors, Rockin' Robin pinning Judy Martin, Mr. Perfect scoring victories over Ronnie Garvin. Garvin coming off the top rope with the crossbody. Hennig able to use the momentum to turn it over on top. Did not hook the tights, simply hooked the legs and got a clean win for Mr. Perfect, continuing to be, well, perfect. Also on the cards, the Red Rooster scoring victories over the Brooklyn Brawler with a backslide. It's the Rockers over the Brainbusters by disqualification. Really great matches, guys. Go check them out if you can. Shawn Michaels coming off the top rope, kind of a rocket launcher deal onto, geez, I'd have to go back and I don't know if it was Tully or Arn, but there was interference and we wind up getting disqualifications for the Rockers both nights out. But this is also reportedly where Arn Anderson sustains a cracked vertebrae, which, is going to linger for quite a while there for AA, the Enforcer. But Arn Anderson suffering a cracked vertebrae in the match, but you wouldn't really know it. I mean, the Rockers and Brainbusters, great matches every time out. Brainbusters headed to WrestleMania to take on the reuniting Strike Force, and the Rockers have the Twin Towers. Also on the cards in Boston and New York, Hercules battling Bad News Brown to a double countout, about as fun as you might guess. And six-man tag team action, going to see Jim Duggan team with the Bushwhackers over Dino Bravo and the Fabulous Rougeaus. Duggan using his trusty 2x4 across the back of one half of the Rougeaus to put them down, and the Bushwhackers scoring the win, cheating Jim Duggan and the Bushwhackers were going to come out victorious. Both cities here would have rather them pin Dino Bravo, but it is what it is. The main event, both arenas, why did they sell out 20,000 and 15,000 strong? Well, they're out to see Hulk Hogan defeat the Big Boss Man inside a steel cage, the Hulkster escaping over the top out to the floor. Post-match, beating on the Boss Man and beating on Manager Slick. Brother. All right, we get another similar card to the one I just reported you also on March the 19th, matinee show in Hartford, Connecticut, another near sellout, 14,300. A little bit of a different preliminary action here. Bad News pinning Ronnie Garvin, the Rockers defeating the Brainbusters by pinfall, and Hercules taking Mr. Perfect to a time limit draw, but we still get Hogan and Boss Man on top inside the cage, giving us 14,000 there in Hartford. As we roll on, we're in the second half of the month now, moving into WrestleMania season. March the 18th, 2 shows on the 18th, matinee and evening show, and 2 shows on the 19th, matinee and evening show. In Columbus at the Ohio Center, Cincinnati, Ohio, Riverfront Coliseum, Auburn Hills, Michigan at the Palace, and Toledo, Ohio at the Sports Arena. 4 shows, same results pretty much every night. Tim Horner over Mike Sharp, Hillbilly Jim pinning Boris Zukov. It is Jim Neidhart defeating Greg Valentine on a couple of nights, and a couple of Valentine over Anvil as well. Auburn going to see Brutus Beefcake score a victory over King Haku, while Rick Martel battles Rick Rude to a time limit draw. Man, I wish I was in Auburn. Meanwhile, in Toledo, it was Brutus Beefcake over Rick Rude and Rick Martel defeating King Haku. Also on the cards each night, Demolition over Powers of Pain in a no title, no DQ match. No disqualification. How does it end? By a count out, of course. Demolition over the Powers of Pain there. Little loophole in the stipulation. As we close out the nights, Randy Savage scoring victories over the Ultimate Warrior by countout after ringside distraction from Rick Rude. Again, leaving the fans going home happy. It is the Warrior Man clearing the ring of both the WWF Champion and Ravishing Rick. Now into the latter half of the month, March 20th, 21st, and 22nd, Dayton, Ohio, Hara Arena, Peoria, Illinois at the Civic Center, and Rockford, Illinois at the Metro Center. Mr. Perfect putting away Coco Beware. Rick Martel over Bad News Brown by DQ. The Bushwhackers defeating the Fabulous Rougeaus. Ho! Hacksaw Jim Duggan again scoring a win over Dino Bravo in a flag match. Can't wait for this to come to an end. Big Boss Man over Hillbilly Jim. Boy, that would have been a sight to see. Mighty Hercules scoring a victory over King Haku and Andre the Giant over Jake the Snake Roberts. Also, March 20th through the 22nd in Fargo, North Dakota, Civic Memorial Auditorium, Bismarck, North Dakota, the Civic Center, and St. Cloud, Minnesota at Hallenbeck Hall. I don't have results. Those do not sound like large arenas nor large cities, large venues, if you will. But we do know it is headlined by Demolition and the Powers of Pain, so that's all you really need to know there. No results, but kind of a lighter card there. A Seatown, if you will, moving into North Dakota and the smaller cities of Minnesota. Now, we've got a big stretch here of results. March the 20th all the way through the 26th, 7 nights of action in San Diego, California Sports Arena, Phoenix, Arizona, Veterans Memorial Coliseum, Tucson, Arizona Convention Center, Salt Lake City, Utah at the Salt Palace, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma at the Old Myriad, San Antonio, Texas at the Freeman Coliseum, 9,000 fans there in San Antonio. First show, I do believe, at the Freeman, by the way, for the WWF. And closing it out, March the 26th, Edinburgh, Texas at the Pan American University Fieldhouse. That's a mouthful. Going to see Red Rooster over the Brooklyn Brawler. Tim Horner put away Jose Estrada. Ronnie Garvin over Iron Mike Sharp. Jim Neidhart pinning the Hammer Greg Valentine. Rockers over the Brainbusters by DQ. Brutus Beefcake scoring another pinfall over Ravishing Rick Rude. In the main event, WWF Champion Randy Savage over the Intercontinental Champion Ultimate Warrior, again by a count out there in that weak stretch of action. Also, March the 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th, going to see action like this. It's going to be Rick Martel over King Haku, the Blue Blazer, putting away Ron Bass some nights, Danny Davis others. Nikolai Volkov over Sam Houston, both guys on their way out. Flip the coin. Bushwhackers putting away the Fabulous Rougeaus. Jim Duggan again over Dino Bravo in a flag match. And in Fort Wayne, it was Andre the Giant scoring a victory over Jake the Snake Roberts in a lumberjack match. So we get the flag match, a lumberjack match. Again, these feel like Seatown shows. Evansville, one of the Memphis territory cities. Oh, I almost forgot too on this little stretcher. Not sure if there was an injury or if he was pivoted to a different team, an A team, a B team, whatever the case may be. But Hercules was a no-show for these matches on the 23rd through the 26th, or at least some of the matches. He was replaced by job guy extraordinaire Dave Wagner. Bad News Brown picking up victories over Dave Wagner in those towns. And it'll be nights off for Bad News Brown. As we continue on, March the 23rd through the 26th in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Bradley Center, Erie, Pennsylvania at the Civic Center in front of 7,000 fans, Buffalo, New York Memorial Auditorium, and Lake Placid, New York, Olympic Center, 6,400 fans there on March the 26th. And the results, they look like this. On the 23rd and 24th, it is Barry Horowitz scoring wins. Horowitz wins over Scott Casey, who finishes up with the company there at March the 24th on his way out doing a couple jobs to Barry Horowitz. Then the remainder of the nights, it looks like this. Replacing the Horowitz-Casey match in Buffalo and Lake Placid, it is Paul Roma over the Conquistador. Also, every night, Hillbilly Jim defeating Boris Zukov, Mr. Perfect over Coco Beware, the Hitman battling Honky Tonk Man to double DQs, double countouts, Ted DiBiase scoring victories over Tito Santana, Tag Team Champions Demolition over the Powers of Pain by pinfall or DQ, depending on the night, Big John Studd continuing to score pinfalls over the African Dream Akeem, and these were the A shows, so we close out each night with Hulk Hogan defeating the Big Boss Man inside a steel cage. And that's going to wrap it up, guys. We are just about a week away from WrestleMania 5, and usually the WWF taking about a week off to get to Trump Plaza this time around to get ready, to get everyone prepared for the big event, which is WrestleMania 5, scheduled for April 2, pal. We've seen Demolition and the Powers of Pain married to each other on the road, Jake and Andre trying to get these matches right. We've seen a lot of Hercules and Haku. I see a lot of matches that are upcoming. They continue to tell the story, the feud between Rick Rude and the Ultimate Warrior leading into their big matchup. Not a lot, by the way, of them wrestling each other, a couple tag matches, but no singles matches here between Warrior and Rude. Of course, these guys know each other going all the way back to the Dallas territory. As mentioned, a lot of the underneath names here are finishing up at the end of March. We won't be seeing them moving into the month of April. We're going to have to see who replaces those spots, if we're going to lose the C show again for a while. I don't know exactly what Vince has in store for us, but we'll stay tuned and check that out. Mr. Perfect remains undefeated here in the World Wrestling Federation. They've continued to do Bret Hart and the Honky Tonk Man, the Hammer and the Anvil to death. Neidhart finally picking up a few pins there by the end of March. I don't know what that's about. And Hitman, I think, one pinfall victory over Honky, but Honky 0 over the Hitman. That's pretty telling for the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. Great to see Jimmy Snuka coming back. John Tenta may be arriving here to the company before too long. Roddy Piper, even testing the waters maybe a little bit there. Hot Rod, you having a little doubt? No, of course not. He's Roddy Piper. He's already been back to the Portland Sports Arena by this point and done some things on TV there for Don Owens. So Hot Rod coming back to the WWF. It's fun up and down right now on the card. Brutus Beefcake getting a lot of surprise victories over some big names, while Dibiase just his wheels spinning in place right now. Of course, he's about to debut the $1 million title, so he has that going for him, but no real feuds ahead. Dibiase coming out of that huge year-long story with Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man and gets put into the slavery angle with the Mighty Hercules, which is fine to simmer with. You can simmer with something like that while you get Dibiase hot and ready for the next big thing, but right now, doing jobs to Brutus Beefcake and then pinning Tito Santana, that ain't it. So curious to see what happens with the $1 Million Man coming out of WrestleMania 5. Lots to look into here. Big John Studd nearly fired reportedly for having stinkers in there with Akeem, and but able to make the body slam look believable enough to retain his job for now. So, wow, it's going to be a fun ride, guys. We've got 4 weeks of TV to go, and not to mention another edition of Saturday Night's Main Event right around the corner as well. So we've got a lot to get into here in the month of March, moving into April. WrestleMania 5. The mega powers explode. We're going to be talking with some of our WrestleCopia friends out there and seeing if we can get a couple people on board for that programs perhaps, as we break down the definitive edition of WrestleMania 5 when we get there. But for right now, guys, that's going to wrap things up. I'll be back with not 1, but 2 weeks of WWF TV 1989, March of 1989, WWF TV. We're going to play a little catch-up here. Going to put in some extra time. 2 weeks of March TV to jump through next time around here. Lots of last-minute storylines, angles, hype moving into WrestleMania. I can't wait to get there next time with you guys on the Grenade. And again, just a quick reminder, check out our patreon.com/WrestleCopia. We've got so many additional programs there. A video version of Monday Warfare, The Battles Within, the Coliseum videocast with Gene Jackson. The Puroresu Academy has been a hell of a ride with Dan Gennity. We've been doing the video version for over a year now, covering all Japan in the 1970s. Now into 1978, the arrival of the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, battling Jumbo Sharuda on the latest episode. You can get all of that at the VIP tier. And if you upgrade to the Ultimate tier, that's right, the Ultimate tier, going to get you the big ones, where we cover all of the big events that coincide, the pay-per-views, the other big events that coincide with a lot of the other programs we do, maybe the Saturday Night's Main Events, the pay-per-views here in 1988, 89 here on the Grenade, but also covering the Monday Night War pay-per-views as well, and a little bit of everything in between. Crockett Cup 87 just recently went up there. Lots of fun times discussing and covering the big ones. They're part of the Ultimate tier, as well as Regional Wrestling Unreeled. Jamie Ward returns very soon from a brief illness. He had to get his voice back. Jamie will be back. We're already 20-some episodes into the Unreeled program right now, dissecting both 1982 in the Mid-South Wrestling territory and Southwest Wrestling on the USA Network. Both video casts you guys can check out, part of the Ultimate tier. All of that and so much more. And inquire within about the treasure chest drop box of goodies you guys will receive if you join that Ultimate tier. But for now, time to wrap things up. We will be back soon with more March of 89 WWF, this time looking into the TV portion of the month. But until then, this is Ray Russell saying, from pillar to post and coast to coast, you pull the pin, I'll pick up the pieces right here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade. I'll see you next week. Don't miss it. Be there!
We know Hulk Hogan hates it when he's called the former champion. How could his ego handle such a stress? He's jealous of the Macho Man. He lusts for Miss Elizabeth. Atlantic City's gonna be a mess. His greedy, selfish attitude destroyed the mega powers. That's why Savage smashed his belt across Hulk's face. I call that poetic justice. And as long as there's a Macho Man, the Hulk will always be in second place. WrestleMania 5 is April 2nd at Trump Plaza. The Macho Man is ready for a duel. Hulk Hogan may be one day late and several dollars short, but he will be the world's biggest April Fool.